The small-town grocery store buzzed with the usual hum of early morning shoppers, carts squeaking, and the soft thud of produce being weighed. But today, a piercing question sliced through the air like a knife. How far would someone go to ruin a man's livelihood? Karen stood at the center of the produce aisle, her voice shrill, her manicured finger jabbing at a pile of peaches. "These are rotten," she shrieked, holding up a fuzzy, grayish fruit for all to see. Her eyes, sharp with indignation, scanned the growing crowd. The grocer, Sam, a wiry man with calloused hands and a tired smile, froze behind the counter. His store, Green Valley Market, was his life's work, built from decades of sweat and early mornings. Karen's accusation wasn't just a complaint. It was a declaration of war. The air thickened with tension as shoppers whispered, their eyes darting between Karen's flushed face and Sam's stunned silence. She tossed the moldy peach onto the counter, where it landed with a wet smack. "You're selling garbage," she continued, her voice climbing. "I bought these yesterday, and they're already spoiled. I could have gotten sick," Sam stammered, his hands fumbling with an apron stained from years of handling fresh produce. "Ma'am, I check every piece myself. That's not possible." But Karen wasn't listening. She pulled out her phone, snapping photos of the peach, her lips curling into a triumphant smirk. "This is going viral," she muttered, loud enough for the crowd to hear. The word lawsuit hung unspoken, but its weight pressed on everyone. Sam's heart sank. He'd seen this before, not in his store, but in stories from other small businesses. A single viral post could destroy him. His store wasn't just a business. It was his promise to his late wife, Lila, who dreamed of a place where the community could gather. Every apple, every head of lettuce was a piece of that dream. Now, Karen's accusation threatened to crush it. He stepped forward, his voice low but firm. "Let me make this right. I'll refund you, replace the fruit, whatever you need." But Karen's eyes gleamed with something darker than anger. "Too late," she said, turning to the crowd. "Who else has been sold this trash?" A murmur rippled through the onlookers, some nodding, others shifting uncomfortably. The scene was a powder keg, and Karen held the match. She wasn't just a disgruntled customer. She was a force, a storm wrapped in a pastel cardigan. Her accusations grew louder, more theatrical, as she waved another moldy peach she'd pulled from her purse. "This is fraud," she declared, her voice cracking with rehearsed outrage. Sam's hands shook as he reached for the fruit, his mind racing. How could peaches go bad overnight? He'd handpicked them from a local orchard just 2 days ago. Something was wrong, but the crowd was already turning, their whispers growing into a chorus of doubt. Across town, Officer Emily Chan was finishing her morning coffee when her radio crackled. "Disturbance at Green Valley Market," the dispatcher said. Emily sighed, expecting a routine call. Maybe a shoplifter or a kid knocking over a display. But as she pulled into the parking lot, she saw the crowd spilling out of the store, Karen's voice cutting through the chaos like a siren. Emily stepped inside, her calm demeanor a stark contrast to the frenzy. She took in the scene. Karen, red-faced and gesturing wildly. Sam, pale and cornered, and 2 moldy peaches sitting like evidence on the counter. "What's going on here?" Emily asked, her voice steady but commanding. Karen launched into her story, words tumbling out with practiced ease. "She'd bought the peaches yesterday," she said, "and found them covered in mold this morning." "It's a health hazard," she insisted, pointing at Sam. "He's scamming us all." Emily's eyes narrowed as she listened, her instincts tingling. Something about Karen's performance felt too polished, too perfect. She glanced at Sam, who looked like a man watching his world crumble. "I swear, officer," he said quietly, "those peaches were fresh when they left my store." Emily nodded, her gaze shifting to the fruit. The mold was thick, unnatural, like it had been growing for weeks, not hours. As Emily began questioning Karen, a young cashier named Mia hovered nearby, her hands twisting nervously. Mia had worked for Sam since high school, and she knew his dedication to quality. She'd also seen Karen in the store before, always complaining, always demanding refunds. Mia's stomach churned as she remembered something odd. Yesterday, Karen had lingered in the produce section, her purse unzipped, her hands moving quickly. Mia hadn't thought much of it at the time, but now, watching Karen's theatrics, a seed of suspicion took root. She stepped closer to Emily, her voice barely a whisper. "Officer, I think she might have brought those peaches in herself." The accusation hung in the air, a quiet bombshell that shifted the room's energy. Karen's eyes flicked toward Mia, a flash of panic betraying her composure. Emily caught it, her mind already piecing together the puzzle. She asked Karen to step aside for a moment, then turned to Sam. "Do you have security cameras?" she asked. Sam nodded, pointing to a small monitor behind the counter. "They're not great, but they cover the produce aisle." Emily's pulse quickened. If Mia was right, the footage could change everything. As Sam pulled up the video, the crowd held its breath, the weight of truth looming closer. The grainy security footage flickered on the small screen, casting a dim glow over Sam, Emily, and Mia. The crowd pressed closer, their murmurs fading into a tense hush. Karen stood apart, her arms crossed, her lips pursed in a tight line. The video showed yesterday's bustling store, customers weaving through the aisles, and there, in the corner of the frame, was Karen. She moved deliberately, her purse slung over her shoulder, her hands dipping into it as she lingered near the peach display. Emily's eyes sharpened, catching the moment Karen slipped something into the pile. A quick, practiced motion, almost invisible unless you were looking for it. The crowd gasped, a collective intake of breath that seemed to suck the air from the room. Karen's face paled, but she recovered quickly, her voice rising in protest. "That proves nothing. You're twisting this to protect him," she spat, pointing at Sam. Emily held up a hand, silencing her. "Let's see that again," she said, her tone calm but unyielding. Sam rewound the footage, and there it was, Karen's hand, a flash of something round and fuzzy, and then her quick retreat from the display. The moldy peach hadn't come from Sam's stock. It had come from her purse. The realization hit the crowd like a wave, their whispers turning to murmurs of disbelief. Sam's shoulders sagged with relief, but his eyes still held the weight of betrayal. He'd trusted his customers, built his life on serving them, and now one had tried to destroy him. Emily turned to Karen, her voice steady. "Care to explain this, ma'am?" Karen's eyes darted, searching for an escape, but the crowd's gaze pinned her in place. The confrontation escalated as Karen doubled down, her voice shrill with defiance. "This is a setup. You're all in on it," she cried, her hands flailing. But the evidence was undeniable, and the crowd's sympathy shifted to Sam. Mia stepped forward, her voice trembling but firm. "I saw her yesterday, officer. She was acting strange, digging in her purse like she was hiding something." Karen's face twisted, her composure cracking. "You little liar," she snapped, lunging toward Mia. Emily stepped between them, her presence a wall of authority. "That's enough," she said, her voice cutting through the chaos. "You're coming with me to the station to sort this out." As Emily escorted Karen out, the crowd parted, their eyes a mix of shock and pity. Sam stayed behind, his hands gripping the counter, the weight of the morning settling into his bones. Mia stayed close, her loyalty to him unspoken but fierce. The store felt quieter now, the air heavy with the aftermath of betrayal. At the station, Karen sat across from Emily, her defiance crumbling under the officer's steady gaze. "Why did you do it?" Emily asked, her voice soft but probing. Karen's lips trembled, and for the first time, she looked small, fragile. "I didn't think it would go this far," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "I just wanted attention. My blog, it's all I have." The twist came like a gut punch. Karen wasn't just a spiteful customer. She was a woman unraveling, chasing clout in a world that had left her behind. Her blog, Karen's Corner, was her lifeline, a platform where she ranted about everything from bad service to imagined slights. The moldy peaches were her latest stunt, a desperate bid for views, and validation. She'd grown the mold herself, cultivating it in her kitchen like a twisted science project, then planted it in Sam's store to stage her outrage. The plan was simple: post the photos, go viral, and watch the clicks roll in. But she hadn't counted on Mia's sharp eyes or Emily's instincts. Now, her scheme was unraveling, and the truth was closing in. Emily leaned back, her mind racing. Karen's confession explained the peaches, but it opened a deeper question. How many others had she targeted? A quick search of Karen's corner revealed a trail of complaints. Restaurants, boutiques, even a dog groomer, all accused of shoddy service or dangerous products. Each post was a performance, crafted to inflame and attract. Emily's jaw tightened as she realized Sam was just the latest victim in Karen's quest for relevance. Back at the store, Sam was trying to salvage the day, offering free coffee to shaken customers, his smile strained but genuine. He didn't know the full story yet, but he felt the tide turning. Mia, still shaken, helped restock the peaches, her hands steadying with each one she placed. The community began to rally. Word spread quickly. Small towns have long memories and fast tongues. By afternoon, customers were streaming in, not to gawk but to support Sam. They bought apples, bread, even the slightly bruised tomatoes he'd planned to discount. "We know you, Sam," an elderly woman said, patting his hand. "You're one of us." Sam's throat tightened, the warmth of their loyalty thawing the chill of the morning. But the battle wasn't over. Karen's blog still loomed, a digital sword hanging over his store. And Emily, back at the station, was digging deeper, determined to uncover the full extent of Karen's deception. The police station was a stark contrast to the warm chaos of Green Valley Market. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting a cold glow on the chip table where Karen sat, her hands twisting in her lap. Emily sat across from her, a notepad open, her pen tapping rhythmically. "Let's go over this again," Emily said, her voice calm but unyielding. "You admit to planting the moldy peaches. But this isn't the first time you've done something like this, is it?" Karen's eyes flickered, caught between defiance and defeat. She opened her mouth, then closed it, her shoulders slumping. The fight was draining out of her, replaced by something raw and fragile. "I just wanted people to listen," she whispered. "Nobody cares about me otherwise." Emily's expression softened, but only slightly. She'd seen people like Karen before, lonely, desperate for significance, willing to hurt others to feel seen. But sympathy didn't erase accountability. "You targeted Sam's store for a reason," Emily pressed. "Why him?" Karen's gaze dropped to the table, her fingers tracing invisible patterns. "His store, it's perfect," she said, her voice barely audible. "Everyone loves it. I thought if I could take it down, people would notice me." The confession hung heavy, a mix of pettiness and pain that made Emily's stomach twist. Karen wasn't a mastermind. She was a woman lost in her own emptiness, wielding her blog like a weapon. Back at the store, the afternoon sun filtered through the windows, casting long shadows across the produce aisle. Sam moved mechanically, restocking shelves, his mind replaying the morning's chaos. The crowd support had buoyed him, but the sting of Karen's betrayal lingered. He'd always believed in the goodness of people, in the community he and Lila had built. Now that faith felt bruised. Mia, sensing his mood, lingered nearby, her usual chatter replaced by quiet solidarity. "You okay, Sam?" she asked, stacking apples with care. He managed a small smile. "Getting there," he said, though the weight in his chest told a different story. Across town, Emily was piecing together Karen's history. A search of Karen's corner revealed a pattern. Dozens of local businesses targeted with exaggerated complaints, each post dripping with outrage and laced with hashtags for maximum reach. The dog groomer had nearly gone bankrupt after Karen accused them of animal cruelty. A cafe had lost half its customers after she claimed their coffee was toxic. Each story followed the same script: a dramatic scene, a viral post, and a flood of attention for Karen. But the comment sections told another story. People were growing skeptical, calling her out for inconsistencies. Emily's jaw tightened. Karen's reign of digital terror was crumbling, but not before it had done real damage. The confrontation came that evening, when Emily returned to the store with news. Sam was closing up, the last customers trickling out, when Emily's cruiser pulled into the lot. She stepped inside, her face grim but determined. "Sam, we've got enough to charge her," she said. "Fraud, defamation, maybe more. Her blog's a gold mine of evidence." Sam nodded, relief mixing with exhaustion. "Will it stop her?" he asked. Emily hesitated, then met his gaze. "It'll slow her down. But people like her, they don't stop easy." Sam's hands clenched, the reality settling in. This wasn't just about peaches. It was about trust, community, and the fragile bonds that held them together. As Emily left, Mia lingered, her eyes bright with an idea. "Sam, what if we fight back?" she said, her voice eager. "Not with lies, but with the truth. Show people who you are." Sam frowned, unsure. Social media wasn't his world. He barely used email. But Mia was already pulling out her phone, her fingers flying. "We'll post about the store, the orchard, Lila's dream. Let's tell our story." Sam hesitated, then nodded. Maybe Mia was right. Maybe the way to beat Karen's lies was to shine a brighter light. By nightfall, Mia had posted a simple photo of Sam arranging peaches, captioned, "Fresh from the orchard, picked with care. This is Green Valley Market." The post spread quickly, shared by loyal customers, a quiet rebellion against Karen's venom. Meanwhile, Karen sat alone in her apartment, staring at her laptop. Her latest post about Sam's store was live, but the comments were brutal. "Liar. Fraud. Leave Sam alone." Her hands trembled as she scrolled, the tide of public opinion turning against her. For the first time, she felt the weight of her own actions, the lives she'd hurt in her chase for clicks. But the realization came too late. Emily's investigation was closing in, and the community was rallying around Sam. The stage was set for a reckoning, one that would test not just Karen's resolve, but the strength of a town that refused to let one woman's lies tear it apart. The next morning, Green Valley Market was busier than ever. Word of Karen's scheme had spread like wildfire, fueled by Mia's post and the town's fierce loyalty to Sam. Customers filled the aisles, their carts overflowing with produce, bread, and jars of local honey. They weren't just shopping, they were making a statement. Sam moved through the store, shaking hands, accepting hugs, his eyes misty with gratitude. "Thank you," he said again and again, his voice hoarse. But beneath the warmth, a knot of unease lingered. Karen's blog was still out there, and her silence felt like the calm before a storm. Sam knew this wasn't over. At the police station, Emily was building a case. Karen's confession had cracked the door open, but the evidence was piling up. Screenshots of her blog, witness statements from other businesses, even a neighbor who'd seen her experimenting with mold in her kitchen. Emily's desk was a mess of notes and printouts, each one a piece of the puzzle. She'd also found something chilling, a draft post on Karen's laptop, never published, accusing a local daycare of neglect. The accusations were vague but vicious, designed to inflame. Emily's blood ran cold. If Karen had succeeded with Sam, who would have been next? Back at the store, Mia was a whirlwind, snapping photos of smiling customers and posting updates. Her latest post, a video of Sam handing out free apples to kids, had gone viral in the town's Facebook group. "This is who we are," she narrated, her voice bright with pride. Green Valley Market isn't just a store, it's family. The comments flooded in, filled with heart emojis and stories of Sam's kindness. How he'd donated produce to the food bank, how he'd stayed open late for a desperate customer. Mia's campaign was working, but it was also drawing attention. By noon, a local reporter had arrived, her notebook open, her questions sharp. "Sam, how does it feel to be targeted like this?" she asked. Sam hesitated, then spoke from the heart. "It hurts," he said, "but this community, they're my strength." The reporter's story hit the local news site by evening, painting Sam as a hero and Karen as a villain. It was a small victory, but it came with a cost. Karen, holed up in her apartment, saw the article and felt the walls closing in. Her blog's traffic had plummeted, her followers turning on her. She opened a new post, her fingers trembling as she typed. The truth about Green Valley Market. But before she could hit publish, a knock at the door startled her. It was Emily, search warrant in hand. "We need your laptop," she said, her tone leaving no room for argument. Karen's heart pounded as she handed it over, her empire of lies crumbling with every click of the officer's boots. The search revealed more than Emily had expected. Karen's laptop was a treasure trove of deception. Folders of doctored photos, drafts of fake reviews, even a spreadsheet tracking which businesses she'd targeted and how many views each post had gotten. The scale of it was staggering. Dozens of lives disrupted, all for a fleeting moment of attention. Emily felt a mix of anger and pity. Karen wasn't evil, but she was broken, and her desperation had left a trail of wreckage. As Emily left with the laptop, Karen sank onto her couch, the silence deafening. For the first time, she saw herself clearly, not as a crusader, but as a saboteur tearing down others to feel tall. Back at the store, the day ended with a quiet triumph. Sam locked the doors, the shelves nearly bare from the day's rush. Mia grinned, showing him the latest post, a photo of the empty peach display, captioned, "Sold out, thanks to you." Sam chuckled, the sound rusty but real. "You're something else, Mia," he said. She shrugged, her eyes bright, just doing what Lila would have done. The mention of his wife brought a pang, but also a spark of resolve. Sam wouldn't let Karen's lies define him. He'd fight for his store, for his community, for the dream he and Lila had built. As night fell, the town buzzed with talk of Sam's victory and Karen's downfall. But the story wasn't finished. Karen's blog still had followers, and some were loyal enough to believe her, no matter the evidence. A few angry comments appeared on Mia's posts, accusing Sam of staging the whole thing. The battle for truth was far from won, and Sam knew it. He stood outside the store, staring at the sign, Green Valley Market, EST 1995, and made a silent vow. He'd keep going, not just for himself, but for everyone who'd stood by him. The fight was personal now, and he was ready. The morning sun rose over Green Valley, painting the market's faded sign in soft gold. Sam arrived early, his routine a quiet act of defiance. He swept the floors, checked the produce, and set out a fresh batch of peaches, their scent filling the air. But the peace was short-lived. By mid-morning, a new post on Karen's corner had surfaced, a desperate attempt to reclaim her narrative. Framed by a corrupt town, the headline screamed, accusing Sam, Emily, and even Mia of conspiring against her. The post was sloppy, riddled with typos, but it gained traction among Karen's diehard followers. Comments poured in, some calling for boycotts, others vowing to expose the truth. Sam's heart sank as he read the post on Mia's phone, the words a fresh wound. Mia, undeterred, fired back. She posted a video of the store's orchard supplier, a grizzled farmer named Tom, explaining how Sam handpicked every peach. "This is who we trust," Mia's caption read. The video spread, countering Karen's lies with quiet authenticity. But the online battle was taking its toll. Sam noticed Mia's hands shaking as she typed, her usual spark dimmed by the vitriol. "Maybe we should stop," Sam said, his voice heavy. "Let the police handle it." Mia shook her head, fierce. "No way. She doesn't get to win." Sam admired her fire, but he worried. Karen's desperation made her unpredictable, and the town was caught in the crossfire. At the station, Emily was wading through Karen's laptop, uncovering a network of fake accounts she'd used to amplify her posts. The evidence was overwhelming, but Emily knew it wasn't enough to silence Karen's followers. Social media was a beast, feeding on outrage, not facts. She called Sam, her voice clipped. "We're charging her with fraud and defamation, but you need to be ready. She's not going down quietly." Sam thanked her, his mind racing. He'd never wanted to fight, but Karen had left him no choice. He turned to Mia, who was already drafting another post. "Let's tell the whole story," she said. Not just the peaches, but who you are. People need to know. That afternoon, Mia posted a thread, a love letter to Green Valley Market. It traced Sam's journey, how he and Lila had started the store with nothing but a dream, how they'd weathered recessions and storms, how Sam had kept it going after Lila's death. The thread included photos, Sam and Lila at the store's opening, Sam teaching Mia to weigh produce, the community rallying yesterday. "This is what Karen tried to destroy," Mia wrote. "But we're stronger than her lies." The thread went viral, shared beyond the town, picked up by news outlets. Sam's story became a beacon, a reminder of what small towns could be. Karen, meanwhile, was spiraling. Her apartment was a mess of takeout containers and unanswered emails from her few remaining sponsors. The comments on her latest post were brutal, her followers dwindling. She stared at her screen, the cursor blinking on a blank post. She wanted to fight back, to double down, but the weight of her actions was crushing her. She'd started with small complaints, little exaggerations to get noticed. But it had grown into something monstrous, a cycle of lies she couldn't escape. For the first time, she wondered if she'd gone too far, if the attention was worth the cost. The turning point came that evening, when a local TV crew arrived at the store. They wanted Sam's story, not Karen's. The reporter, a young woman with a kind smile, asked Sam to walk her through the peach aisle. "Why do you keep going?" she asked. Sam paused, his hand resting on a crate of peaches. "Because this is home," he said. "Not just for me, but for everyone who walks through that door." The interview aired that night, and the response was overwhelming. Donations poured in, not just from Green Valley, but from strangers across the state. People sent messages of support, stories of their own small-town heroes. Sam's store wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. But Karen's collapse was complete. Emily's investigation had uncovered enough to press multiple charges, and the community's rejection was the final blow. Karen deleted her blog that night, the act feeling like cutting off a limb. She sat in the dark, her phone silent, her world shrinking to the four walls of her apartment. The attention she'd craved had turned to scorn, and she had no one to blame but herself. Sam, meanwhile, stood outside his store, watching the stars. The fight had been brutal, but it had shown him something profound, the strength of a community that refused to let lies win. He felt Lila's presence, her dream alive in every peach, every smile, every customer who believed in him. The days that followed were a whirlwind for Green Valley Market. The store was packed, the shelves emptying faster than Sam could restock. Customers came from neighboring towns, drawn by the news coverage and Mia's posts. They bought peaches, shared stories, and left notes of encouragement taped to the counter. One read, "You're what makes this town special, Sam." He kept it in his pocket, a talisman against the lingering shadow of Karen's lies. But even as the community rallied, Sam felt the weight of what had happened. Trust, once broken, was hard to rebuild. He wondered how many still doubted him, how many had seen Karen's posts and believed them. At the police station, Emily was wrapping up the case. Karen had been charged with fraud, defamation, and evidence tampering, her laptop a damning archive of her schemes. The other businesses she targeted were coming forward, their stories mirroring Sam's. Emily worked late, her desk a fortress of paperwork, determined to ensure Karen faced the consequences. But she also felt a pang of sadness. Karen's life was unraveling, her blog gone, her reputation in tatters. Emily had seen the emails on Karen's laptop, pleas for sponsorships, desperate attempts to stay relevant. It was pitiful, but it didn't excuse the harm she'd caused. Mia, meanwhile, was relentless. Her social media campaign had grown into a movement, #StandWithSam, trending locally. She posted daily, sharing behind-the-scenes glimpses of the store. Sam joking with a customer, the orchard where he sourced his fruit, even a photo of Lila's old recipe book, dog-eared and stained. "This is our legacy," Mia wrote. Karen tried to break it, but we're unbreakable. The posts resonated, drawing support from people who'd never set foot in Green Valley. Mia's energy was infectious, but Sam worried about her. "You're doing too much," he said one evening as she edited a video. She grinned, undeterred. "This is for you, Sam. For all of us." The final confrontation came unexpectedly. Karen, out on bail, showed up at the store just before closing. Sam was alone, sweeping the floor when she walked in. Her face was pale, her eyes red-rimmed, her usual bravado gone. "I need to talk," she said, her voice small. Sam tensed, his grip tightening on the broom. "You've said enough," he replied, but he didn't turn her away. Karen stood in the aisle, her hands twisting. "I'm sorry," she said, the words clumsy, unpracticed. "I didn't mean for it to go this far." Sam studied her, seeing not the villain of the past week, but a woman broken by her own choices. "Why my store?" he asked, his voice steady but raw. Karen's eyes dropped to the floor. "I was jealous," she admitted. "Your store, your life, it's everything I don't have. People love you. Nobody loves me." The confession hung between them, raw and unguarded. Sam felt a flicker of pity, but it was overshadowed by the pain she'd caused. "You hurt people, Karen," he said. "Not just me. The whole town." She nodded, tears spilling. "I know. I'm stopping. The blog's gone." Sam didn't know if he believed her, but he saw something new in her eyes. Regret. Maybe even shame. He didn't forgive her. Not yet. But he let her leave, the door chiming softly behind her. The community's response grew stronger. A local artist painted a mural on the store's exterior, a vibrant scene of peaches and smiling faces, with "Green Valley Strong" written in bold letters. The unveiling drew a crowd, their cheers echoing through the street. Sam stood at the center, Mia at his side, overwhelmed by the love pouring in. The reporter returned, her story now national, framing Sam as a symbol of resilience. But Sam didn't feel like a hero. He felt like a man who'd survived a storm, grateful for the hands that had pulled him through. Karen's trial loomed, but her collapse was already complete. She'd moved out of town, her apartment empty, her blog a ghost page. The community didn't celebrate her downfall. They mourned the waste of it, the talent and energy she'd poured into destruction. Sam, too, felt the weight of it. He didn't hate Karen, but he couldn't forget the fear she'd sparked, the doubt she'd sown. As he locked the store that night, he looked at the mural, its colors glowing under the streetlights. It wasn't just a picture. It was a promise, a reminder that truth and love could outlast lies. Months later, Green Valley Market was more than a store. It was a symbol. The mural had become a local landmark, drawing visitors who snapped photos and stayed to shop. Sam's peaches were legendary, each one a testament to his care. The community had grown closer, bound by the shared fight against Karen's lies. Mia had taken on a bigger role, managing the store's social media with a flair that kept customers engaged. She'd even started a blog, not for clout, but to share stories of the town's resilience. "This is our truth," she wrote in her first post, a photo of Sam laughing with a customer. The blog gained a small but loyal following, proof that authenticity could outshine deception. Sam, too, had changed. The ordeal had tested him, but it had also shown him the depth of his community's love. He started a weekly event, Peach Nights, where locals gathered to share stories and recipes, the store filled with laughter and warmth. He felt Lila's presence in those moments, her dream alive in every smile. But he didn't forget the cost. Karen's trial had ended with a guilty plea, her sentence a mix of fines and community service. She'd left Green Valley for good, her name a cautionary tale. Sam didn't dwell on her punishment. He focused on rebuilding, on the people who'd stood by him. Emily, now a regular at the store, often stopped by for coffee and a chat. Her work on the case had earned her a promotion, but she stayed humble, her focus on protecting the town. "You're the heart of this place," she told Sam one morning, sipping her coffee. He shook his head, smiling. "No, Emily, it's all of us." She nodded, understanding. The fight with Karen had been about more than peaches. It was about trust, about the fragile bonds that held a community together. They'd won, not because they were perfect, but because they'd chosen truth over lies, love over hate. Mia's blog grew. each post a celebration of Green Valley spirit. She wrote about the orchard, the mural, the customers who become family. One post, titled Why We Fight, went viral, shared by thousands who saw their own struggles in Sam's story. It wasn't about fame. It was about connection, about showing the world what a small town could do. Sam read every post, his pride in Mia growing with each one. She'd become more than an employee. She was his partner, his voice, his hope for the future. As spring bloomed, Sam stood outside the store, watching the orchard's trees bud with new life. The scars of the past year were still there, but they'd faded, softened by the love that had carried him through. He thought of Karen, wondering where she was, hoping she'd found a better path. But mostly he thought of Green Valley, the people, the stories, the strength that had emerged from the chaos. He'd faced a storm and come out stronger, not because he was unbreakable, but because he wasn't alone. The store sign creaked in the breeze, a quiet reminder of the dream that had started it all. Sam smiled, his heart full, and walked back inside to start the day.